The scent of lavender and baby powder wrapped around me like a soft blanket as I arranged gift bags in Emma's nursery. The room, tucked in her cozy Seattle apartment, glowed with pastel pinks and creams. Every ribbon, every balloon was perfectly placed. I'd spent weeks obsessing over these details for her daughter's first birthday. It should have felt warm, joyful. Instead, my chest tightened. Emma had spent months unraveling our 15-year friendship, thread by thread. I adjusted a tiny bow, my fingers lingering. Old habits clung like dust. I shouldn't have come early to set up. Not after overhearing her last week, her voice syrupy as she told Sophia I was cute but simple. Not after finding the emails yesterday, where she painted me as a naive shadow of her brilliance. Yet here I was, smiling through the ache, arranging her perfect day. "Olivia, honey, could you move the fruit platter by the window?" Emma's voice floated in, smooth as honey, her hand resting on her belly. "The light there was better for photos," she said. Always the director of her own spotlight. I nodded, lifting the plate with a practiced smile. "Of course." My tone was light, but inside, something simmered. She didn't notice. Emma never did. She glided through life as the star, everyone else a prop in her story. I set the platter down, strawberries catching the sunlight. For 15 years, I'd played my part, loyal, quiet, supportive. Even when she dimmed my light to make hers shine brighter. The nursery felt smaller now, the air thick with unspoken truths. I smoothed my dress, steadying my breath. The party would start soon. Guests would arrive, all dazzled by Emma's charm. I'd smile, pour drinks, and laugh at her jokes. But today, something felt different. A crack in the script. I glanced at the gift bags, each one tied with care. Maybe I wasn't here just for Emma. Maybe I was here to see how long I could carry this weight before it broke me. Or before I broke free. The nursery's soft glow faded as I stepped into Emma's living room, now buzzing with Seattle's elite. Designer dresses shimmered under the chandelier, and laughter mingled with the clink of glasses. I wove through the crowd, tray in hand, offering sparkling apple cider disguised as champagne. Emma's daughter's birthday party was a performance, and I knew my role. The devoted best friend. Smiling, charming, invisible. Guests cooed over the decor, praising Emma's impeccable taste. I bit my lip, swallowing the fact that I'd chosen every detail. My weeks of planning, her spotlight. Old resentment stirred, but I pushed it down. "Keep moving, Olivia. Don't let it show." I handed a glass to a woman in a sleek black dress, her highlights catching the light. She thanked me with a nod, already turning back to her conversation. Emma floated through the room, radiant in a blush-pink dress that hugged her frame. She laughed, touched arms, drew everyone into her orbit. I watched her, my smile tight. 15 years of friendship, and I was still her supporting act. The emails I'd found yesterday burned in my mind. Emma's words to Lucas, my new boyfriend, calling me emotionally unstable, a clingy mess desperate for marriage. Lies, sharp and deliberate. The room hushed as Sophia, Emma's sister, clapped for attention. "Time for speeches," she announced, her voice bright. My stomach twisted. I knew what was coming. Emma stepped forward, her eyes glinting with something I couldn't name. "Before we celebrate my sweet girl," she said, "I have exciting news about our dear Olivia." Every head turned. Dozens of eyes, mascara-lined and curious, pinned me in place. My cheeks flushed, but I kept my face calm. "Olivia's finally found love," Emma continued, her voice dripping with warmth. "With the most wonderful man, Lucas. Everyone, raise your glasses." The room erupted in cheers, glasses clinking, smiles flashing. No one saw my hand tremble as I lifted my cider. No one except Sophia, who glanced at me with a flicker of guilt. They didn't know Lucas was Emma's ex, dated for 3 years before she discarded him as too driven. They didn't know she'd been sabotaging us since we started dating 2 months ago. I forced a smile, my pulse racing. The emails flashed in my head, Emma's warnings to Lucas that I'd stalked my ex, that I was a backup plan until she wanted him back. Lies, all of them. Yet here she stood, playing the hero, basking in their applause. "Tell us how you met," a guest called. Emma's smile widened. Oh, it's the sweetest story, she said, rushing in before I could speak. I introduced them. Lucas and I are still close, and I knew they'd be perfect. My throat tightened. Perfect. Her perfect lie, her perfect stage. I gripped my glass, the cider's bubbles catching the light. The room spun, but I stood frozen, a prop in Emma's story. For the first time, I wondered if I could rewrite the script. The air in Emma's Seattle apartment thickened, the chatter of guests fading into a dull hum. My glass of sparkling cider felt heavy, its bubbles mocking my racing pulse. Emma stood at the room's center, basking in the glow of her lie that she'd orchestrated my romance with Lucas. Her smile was flawless, a mask of generosity. I clenched my jaw, the emails she'd sent him searing my thoughts. Lies about my stability, my past, my worth. Enough. Actually, I said, my voice cutting through the room. Heads turned. Emma's smile froze. Things didn't happen quite like that. The words tasted sharp, like biting into bitter fruit. A tense silence spread, glasses pausing midair. Sienna, Emma said softly, her tone laced with warning. Let's not spoil the mood. Her eyes flicked to the crowd, pleading for their sympathy. I'd never dream of it, I replied, matching her sweetness. My heart pounded, but my voice stayed steady. But since we're celebrating truth today, let's be honest. You didn't introduce me to Lucas. You tried to tear us apart. Gasps rippled through the room. Emma's face paled, then flushed red. Olivia, you're making a scene, she hissed. This is my daughter's party. Yeah, it is, I said, setting my glass down with care. And I wouldn't ruin it by exposing you. That'd be like using a celebration to humiliate someone. My words hung heavy, deliberate. The crowd shifted, uneasy. Sophia stepped forward, her hand raised. Maybe we should cut the cake. No, I said, firmer now. Everyone deserves to know how you warned Lucas I was unstable. How you lied about my past to scare him away. Because you couldn't stand him moving on. The room fell silent. Emma's mask cracked, her lips trembling. You're delusional, she whispered, but her voice shook. Am I? I pulled out my phone, fingers steady. Check your emails, everyone. I forwarded Emma's messages 10 minutes ago. Consider it my gift a lesson in consequences. Phones buzzed, screens lighting up. Emma's eyes widened, panic breaking through. You wouldn't, she breathed. I did. I met her gaze, unyielding. Her angry cry followed me as I turned toward the door, the weight of 15 years lifting with each step. For the first time, I wasn't her shadow. I was free. Rain lashed against my apartment windows in downtown Seattle, mirroring the storm churning inside me. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since I left Emma's party. Texts flooded in shocked reactions from guests, angry jabs from Emma's loyal friends. I blocked them all, except Lucas. His latest message glowed on my screen. We need to talk. I'm coming over. I sank onto the couch, my hands trembling as I tried to make coffee. The familiar ritual grind, brew, pour did nothing to calm me. Had I shattered everything by exposing Emma's lies? Part of me wanted to tell Lucas to stay away. Another part needed to see his face, to know if I'd ruined us too. 3 sharp knocks broke the silence. I opened the door to find Lucas, soaked from the rain, his dark hair plastered to his forehead. His expression was unreadable, a mix of worry and resolve. You should have warned me, he said, stepping inside. Water dripped onto the floor. Are you okay? No, I admitted, my voice barely steady. Are you? He ran a hand through his wet hair. Not really. But I'm here. He glanced at my phone, still buzzing with Emma's name. She's left 30 voicemails, claiming you pushed her to this. My stomach twisted. What did you tell her? Nothing yet. He walked to the kitchen, grabbing the mug I'd set out for him, 2 sugars, a splash of cream, just how Emma used to make it. The thought made me nauseous. She lied about everything, Olivia. About you, about us. I know, I said, my voice hollow. But I made it worse. I turned her party into a spectacle. Lucas set the mug down, his eyes soft but firm. I've known about her emails for weeks. She sent them right after we started dating. I didn't tell you because I was scared you'd bolt. Why? I whispered, the weight of his words sinking in. Because knowing how far she'd go to sabotage us would make you question everything. Wonder if I was using you to get back at her. He stepped closer. I love you, Olivia. You're honest, real. When you laugh, it's not a performance. My phone buzzed again. Emma's message flashed. You ruined everything. I hope you're happy. I stared at it, guilt creeping in. Before I could respond, a knock startled us. Through the peephole, I saw Sophia, her makeup streaked with tears. Don't, Lucas warned, but I opened the door. Sophia stormed in, her voice cracking. Emma's in the hospital. She had seizures after you left. Doctors say it's stress. Are you happy now? Was revenge worth risking her baby? The words hit like a punch. Guilt flooded me, heavy and cold. I never meant for this, I stammered. Sophia's eyes narrowed. She still defends you. Calls you family, even after you stole Lucas. Family? The words stung. Family didn't lie, didn't manipulate. I looked at Lucas, then back at Sophia, my resolve crumbling. Had I stopped a liar or become one? The rain pounded harder, and I wondered if I'd ever outrun the shadow of my own choices. The rain had softened to a drizzle as I sat in a Capitol Hill cafe, the scent of espresso grounding me. Lucas slid into the booth across from me, his jaw tight. Hannah, our coworker from marketing, joined us, her eyes sharp with purpose. My hands wrapped around a steaming mug, but the warmth couldn't ease the chill of Sophia's words from last night. Emma, hospitalized, her baby at risk. Guilt gnawed at me, yet something else burned stronger, resolve. Hannah leaned forward, her voice low. Emma's been playing a longer game than you know, Olivia. She slid her phone across the table, showing screenshots of emails. She's not just after your relationship with Lucas. She's been undermining your work for months. My coffee turned bitter on my tongue. What? Customer complaints that stalled your promotion? Orchestrated by Emma's friends. Rumors about missed deadlines? Her whispers. Hannah's gaze was steady. She's been cutting you down while posing as your biggest cheerleader. I stared at the emails, each one a calculated jab disguised as concern. Emma had framed me as unreliable, unfocused. My mind flashed to last year's charity gala in Bellevue, where I'd given a speech on workplace mentoring. It was my first time addressing the board, a small victory. Emma was supposed to speak, but claimed food poisoning. I stepped in, thinking she'd handed me a chance. She wasn't sick, Hannah said, reading my expression. The board chose you over her. They wanted a fresh voice. Emma found out the day before and played it off as her idea. The memory twisted, her bright smile now a mask. She'd gushed to everyone about giving me the spotlight, but it was a lie. How do you know this? I asked, my voice tight. I dated a board member, Marcus, Hannah said. He told me. That gala was when it started, the complaints, the rumors. Emma couldn't stand you outshining her. Lucas reached for my hand, his touch steadying. She did the same to me when we dated. Anyone who threatened her control became a target. My throat tightened. All those missed opportunities, the subtle hints from management about my reliability issues, Emma had been there, always knowing my setbacks before I did. Why tell me now? I asked Hannah. She hesitated, her fingers tapping the table. 2 years ago, Emma did this to my sister at another company. By the time we saw the pattern, she'd lost everything, her job, her confidence. I can't let it happen again. The weight of her words settled like lead. I wasn't Emma's first victim, nor her last. My eyes met Lucas's. She called you the night before our first date, didn't she? Manipulated you into doubting me. He nodded, shame flickering in his eyes. She played on my feelings for her. I fell for it once. Not anymore. He pulled out his phone, showing texts from Emma, pleas and threats, all painting me as unhinged. Hannah squeezed my arm. I'm meeting HR tomorrow. I'll report her, but they'll need your statement too. The risk loomed large. Exposing Emma could cost my job, my reputation. But staying silent would cost more. I thought of Hannah's sister, of the others Emma had crushed. I'm in, I said, my voice firm. Lucas leaned closer. What's the plan? I smiled, a spark igniting inside me. We gather proof, every email, every text. Then we confront her where she feels safest, the office. Let her face the truth in front of everyone. Hannah nodded, her eyes gleaming. She taught you well, Olivia. Now show her you've learned. The cafe's hum faded as I saw the path ahead. Emma wanted control. Fine. I'd give her a stage, but this time, I'd write the script. The Bellevue office auditorium buzzed with tension, a powder keg ready to ignite. Hundreds of employees filled the seats, their whispers sharp as knives. Emma stood at the podium, a vision of grace in a flowing black dress that cradled her pregnancy. Her voice trembled, perfectly pitched for sympathy. I've always believed in lifting others up, she said, dabbing at a tear. That's why it breaks my heart to address recent events. I sat in the back row, flanked by Ava and Hannah, my laptop open. My finger hovered over the enter key, my pulse hammering. One press would send an email to every employee, board member, and client proof of Emma's lies, paired with my own confession. Emma's lawyer lingered near the stage, her eyes starting to me with cold warning. What if this backfires? I whispered to Ava, my voice barely audible. It will, she murmured. Then it'll get better. Emma's words flowed, each one a calculated stab. When someone you mentored, someone you trusted, betrays you at your most vulnerable, she clutched her stomach, her voice breaking. The stress has endangered my baby. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others wiping tears. My stomach churned. She was rewriting the story, painting me as the villain. Hannah leaned in. Now, Olivia. I pressed the key. Phones pinged across the auditorium, screens glowing as emails loaded. Emma faltered, her eyes scanning the crowd. They found me, wide with recognition. I stood, my legs steady despite the adrenaline. I have something to say. This isn't the time, her lawyer snapped, stepping forward. It's exactly the time, I said, moving to the aisle. The crowd's eyes followed me, some curious, some hostile. Everyone's reading about how Emma systematically destroyed careers. Emails, texts, recordings, proof from her victims. Emma gripped the podium, her knuckles white. Olivia, please. You're unwell. No, I said, my voice clear. I'm done hiding. I played your game, Emma. I manipulated, schemed, used your tactics against you. But I'm not pretending it was for anyone's good but my own. Whispers spread, a low hum of shock. Emma's lawyer moved to intervene, but Hannah blocked her path, arms crossed. I pulled out my phone and played a recording. Emma's voice filled the room, cold and deliberate. Keep pushing the unstable angle. When she cracks, we'll transfer her. It's for her own good. The crowd gasped. Emma's face drained of color. Where did you get that? She stammered. Lucas, I said. He's been recording you for weeks. Learned to keep receipts from dating you. Sophia rushed forward, her voice shrill. Stop. Emma's pregnant. She doesn't need this. Need what? I turned to the crowd. Consequences? Did you know Emma's led anti-harassment campaigns here for years? Praising women publicly, then tearing them down when they succeed. That's enough. Emma's composure shattered. You ungrateful. Miss Carter, Sarah from HR appeared at the door, her voice icy. My office. Now. Emma straightened, smoothing her dress. I'd be happy to discuss Olivia's behavior. Not her, Sarah said. We have multiple complaints about your harassment of coworkers, backed by evidence. The crowd's murmurs turned to outrage. Emma's mask crumbled, her eyes blazing. You planned this, she hissed at me. I learned from the best, I said, locking eyes with her. You taught me how to destroy someone while smiling. This is my final exam. She lunged, but Hannah grabbed her arm. Don't, Emma. Security appeared, escorting her out as she shouted denials. Ava touched my shoulder. You okay? No, I admitted, my hands shaking as the adrenaline faded. I just ruined someone's career. Someone about to have a baby. She ruined herself, Ava said firmly. You exposed the truth. But as Emma disappeared down the hall, I wasn't sure. My phone buzzed an email from Emma's lawyer, accusing me of defamation, harassment, emotional harm. She claimed my actions caused her pregnancy complications. A low blow, but clever. She was seizing the narrative again, framing me as a monster attacking a vulnerable mother. I looked at Ava, then Hannah. The line between justice and revenge blurred. Had I stopped a bully or become one? The email's words echoed, "You've become the person you hate." In the auditorium's silence, my reflection in the window stared back triumphant, calculating. Too much like Emma's. The nursery in Emma's Tacoma apartment smelled of lavender and baby powder, a quiet sanctuary amid the chaos. Her daughter slept in the crib, tiny fingers curled around a soft blanket. I shouldn't have been here, but Sophia had insisted. "She needs to understand," she'd said. Standing by the crib, I wondered when Emma's heart had turned every bond into a battlefield. Footsteps broke the silence. Emma appeared in the doorway, her ankle monitor clinking softly, her usual polish replaced by a plain sweater. She looked smaller, almost human. "You're not here to fight," she said, her voice wary. "So why are you here, Olivia?" I met her gaze, the nursery's dim light softening her edges. To know if any of it was real. The laughs, the late-night talks, the friendship we built over 15 years. Or was it all just your game? Emma moved to the crib, adjusting the blanket with trembling hands. "It was real," she whispered. "That's what made it work. I loved you like a sister. And I broke you like one too." Her words stung, sharp and raw. "You taught me everything," I said. "How to smile through betrayal. How to destroy someone while pretending to care. I used it all against you." A ghost of her old smile flickered. "You were my best student. My worst mistake was thinking I could keep you small." She touched her daughter's cheek, her voice cracking. "I thought power meant making others need me. Now I have her, and I'm terrified of making her feel like I made you feel." "That fear," I said softly, "is where change starts. Break the cycle, Emma. For her." She studied me, eyes searching. "Why are you here? Revenge? Forgiveness?" "I needed to know if I'd become you," I admitted. "But I haven't. I'm done needing your approval." Emma nodded slowly. "The board offered me a deal. Full payout if I resign quietly, admit everything, get therapy. Would you take it?" "Running won't fix this," I said. "Not for you, not for her." I nodded toward the crib. She swallowed hard. "I kept a folder, Olivia's growth. Every project, every presentation. I tracked your rise while planning your fall. Ironic, isn't it?" "Send it to me," I said. "Not because I need it, but because letting go might help you." Her eyes softened. "You're stronger than I ever was." "Not stronger. Just honest." I moved to the door, then paused. "Take the therapy. Not for the board, not for your career. For her. Break the cycle before she learns it." "Olivia," Emma called as I reached the threshold. "That startup job you got? They're lucky to have you." "I know," I said, the words steady free. Outside, Ava waited in the car, her presence a quiet anchor. I buckled up, the weight of the visit settling. Emma's folder arrived in my inbox, but I deleted it unopened. Some lessons I'd already learned. Some strength I'd already found. The Seattle skyline glowed under a fading sunset, hues of orange and pink painting the horizon. I sat in Ava's car, the hum of the engine a steady comfort as we drove through the city's quiet streets. My hands rested in my lap, no longer trembling. The weight of Emma, the party, the emails, it was gone, replaced by something lighter. Hope, maybe. Or freedom. Ava glanced at me, her eyes warm. "You okay?" "No," I said, a small smile breaking through. "But I will be." I leaned back, letting the city lights blur past. Emma's nursery lingered in my mind, her daughter's tiny breaths, her own fragile confession. I'd spent years as her shadow, believing I needed her to shine. No more. I thought of the cycles we carry. Emma's fear, her need to control, had shaped me, but it didn't define me. I'd broken free, not by becoming her, but by choosing truth messy, raw, mine. The startup job waited, a blank page for my story. No scripts, no games. Just me, building something real. Ava turned onto a bridge, the water below reflecting the last of the light. "What's next?" she asked. "Keep moving," I said, my voice steady. "Lift others up, not tear them down." I pictured Hannah, Sophia, even Emma's daughter, lives touched by her choices and mine. Strength wasn't in winning. It was in breaking patterns, in starting over. My phone buzzed. A final message from Emma. Good luck, Olivia. Mean it. I stared at it, then let it go. The sunset deepened, possibilities stretching wide. For the first time, I was ready to write my own story. Messy, real, and completely mine.